growing up, sports was a huge part of my life, and it was embedded in how I developed from a young kid into eventually a young man. I played different sports, baseball, soccer early on, then football a little bit, lacrosse as well. Um, there's three figures: my father, my mother, my grandfather, who played three important but unique roles, in athletics. And now I started coaching at a pretty young age, and now it's a career, it's a passion of mine, and I'm going to speak to that a little bit. On the one hand, my father, he was my coach, mainly for baseball. During games, he had high standards and high expectations of me, which I, eventually had for myself and that I have for my players. He was big on these things I called controllables. Your effort on one hand, and then your just being a good teammate and being a leader on the other hand. Whether you struck out 3 times in a row, you missed 3 shots in a row, or were down by 30, those are things that are in your control, and there's no excuse for that. However, off the court, after games, whether it was in his car or we went out to eat or something like that, those were times for me to decompress and a time for reflection to see, what can we learn from the situation? What happened? Why did that happen? How should I have reacted? How will I do it in the future? It was a space for perspective. So that experience, being one-on-one with him, is something that I've ascribed to and espoused as a coach. On the flip side, my mother, she was real loud. She was very enthusiastic. She was very supportive, with your great try and, good hustle and good swing and all that type of stuff. And she, on top of that, she was kind of her own person. And, that's something that I viewed, and I kind of, agreed with that probably subconsciously, as time went on. And then another thing I learned from her was just being proud. I mean, that's a huge thing for me, is being proud of my players, of our players, and what they do, and making sure that, they know that I got their back. And then, on a third hand, my grandfather, he was kind of the opposite of my mother. He just came to games, nearly every game, sat in his lawn chair and just watched. He was quietly consistent. He invested his time, money, travel, and energy into me, into my brother, in our athletic endeavors. So I learned from him to speak with your actions and to speak with your dedication. So in conclusion, sports has been inextricable from, a young age into who I've become, and, for my dad to be from his coaching and his counseling, for my mom with her extolling, and my grandfather was just straight up investment, that has really influenced my philosophy and my approach as a coach. And it's really shaped me to be competitive and demanding, to be supportive and invested, and to be relational and committed.